Welcome to the Half Hour to Help. Now, tonight we're talking about foods that heal, foods that kill. Okay, what's unusual, God, this was usually packed. I'm surprised that this is not well attended because we're going to look at this. We're living in a backward society. We've got an FDA that's supposed to control it, where you're supposed to be able to go up onto the counter, blindly pull anything off of the shelf and eat it without reading the package. Okay, does that make sense? That's what you're supposed to happen. But I was listening to this one guy, and he was right. He was saying it's backwards. Like the media is actually there. They're supposed to disseminate information, but they don't. They don't actually tell you that 95% of all cancers are reversible, okay, and preventable. You know, when you look at doctors destroying health, the leading cause of death in this country is medical care, according to the American Medical Association. And that doesn't make sense, because, I mean, if doctors are supposed to be in healthcare, when you look at this is a difficult concept. We have to rename diseases, because what we're doing now, it's more of a legalistic health system, where you come up with a disease or a collection of symptoms, you categorize it, and then you have a list of treatments. And this is how medical world goes through. The problem is it's made out for the legal world. It's not made out for health world. So everybody that has high blood pressure, is it all from the same cause?
No.
I'm sorry, that's common sense. No. What does the American Malpractice Association say? Wait, I mean the American Medical Association. I get that one bad mixed up. Okay, the AMA, it's American Malpractice or Medical? Okay. No, well, seriously, well, think about this. If everybody has high blood pressure, they give everybody a diuretic, a beta blocker, or an ACE inhibitor, and they're not asking why is it caused. Is it from clogged arteries or anything else? What I want you to look at, it's a radically different concept, that disease doesn't exist. It's the body adapting to deficiency or toxicity. This is huge. It's a huge concept. Inflammation, now let's say that you eat a burger a day. I just had a patient this morning that drove me crazy. Okay, he's been with me 2 years, is in his mid-70s. He has occasional cardiac arrhythmias. He came into me, he was going to get a pacemaker put in about 2 years ago. We stopped that. He's been getting healthy. Well, he changed his diet. See, I give a lot of diet recommendations. I say, eat this, don't eat this. And I assume that he was following them. Wait, how do you spell assume? Okay, can you see the problem here? I'm assuming it, but I didn't follow it up. This was where I screwed up. I actually made a mistake on this guy because I'm guessing that he's following my advice, that you got to do this. And so today he comes in from Utah, and it was sweating, hot environment. So of course you're going to lose electrolytes. So if your diet isn't consistent with health, you're going to have the muscle that beats in your chest that beats all the time. That's probably going to show up signs first. The heart. So cardiac arrhythmias would be appropriate for that. So he comes in here and he's starting to experience it. And I said, look, what do you usually have for breakfast? Oh, I usually skip breakfast. What do you have for lunch? Oh, I usually get a burger. So now I'm thinking, okay, I doubt if it's the hormone-free, range-free buffalo burger, okay, with the organic cheese and the massive amount of organic salad around it. Okay, I'm thinking it's like a burger from, some putrid place. So he has no enzymes, he has no living food, he's actually poisoning himself. So his cardiac arrhythmias are a clue that his arteries are inflamed, that his body's not functioning correctly. The same thing with high blood pressure. If you have systemic inflammation, it means that the arteries are going to start to clog. I mean, when you look at other diseases, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, these are all inflammatory diseases where the entire body is inflamed. This means everything is inflamed. But now I want you to take a different look at it. Inflammation is an antioxidant deficiency. No, you're supposed to go, wow, God, what a concept. Because when you look at this, you start thinking, wait a second, could that be true? Well, we're going to get into it. But first, you got to have a base. Okay, we're going to learn some terms. pH level, it's the difference between acid and base. Now, what's interesting, if you move just 1 or 2 tenths of a point of your blood pH, you die. Okay, so pH is very, very different. So when someone says, well, you have an acidic environment, they're not talking about blood, because blood pH, you die quick. Oxidation, this is hugely important you get this. Okay, this is the breakdown of tissue. and it's actually rust. And the oxidative process in your body is you absolutely kill 1 billion cells every day. You build 1 billion cells every day. So this should actually give you hope, because if you're killing and building the cells, if you change the program or you change the building materials, you can reverse disease. Metabolism. This is the buildup and breakdown of tissue, and phytonutrients. This is hugely important. See, we're not studying what we should study. If we're studying health and longevity, we should understand how things work. I mean, there's over 10,000 bioactive enzymes in a tomato. This means that tomato, or that blueberry, or that mango has been exposed over eons to viruses, funguses, bacteria, pathogens, okay, to different environments. And they've developed certain responses. They're called phytonutrients, okay, because that's what it actually does. And you can tell by the color, okay, by the flavor. The colors denote that there are different phytonutrients in it. Like white are going to be more sulfur. That's going to be more, it's going to be better for viruses, fungal, and bacteria. So when we look at this, what is pH? And I've heard enough health food store wackos to know that they don't understand it. You know, if you look at acid, just means it's given up a hydrogen. Okay, base means it's accepting a hydrogen. Now, water, about 7.0. Okay, if you've seen some of those Kangen water machines, they say they're about 9, and city water is probably about 6. But, you know, water varies. Stomach pH is going to be very, very acidic. I mean, I could pour the stomach contents out onto this table and it would burn a hole right through the metal. Amazingly powerful. But now the chyme, and this is the food. See, when you go in and you eat something, it sloshes around in the stomach. When it gets out of the stomach, it hits the intestinal tract, and it's generally, whether that's a burger that you just chewed up, whether it's broccoli you just chewed up, whether it's fresh fruit, it's still 3.5 pH. Okay, it's all 3.5 pH. Now, if it's, then the pancreas is right next to that, and that secretes bicarbonate to change the acid. And then as it gets less and less and less acidic going through that intestinal tract, you absorb certain different nutrients. Okay, so that's, you know, roughly how it works. Now, this is where the acidic and basic foods come in. See, when you eat the acid forming foods, like the soda, which is loaded with phosphoric acid, or the meat, which is, and we're just talking meat, we're not talking the pesticide, hormone-laden, sick animals that's in the local fast food restaurant. Okay, we're just talking regular old meats. They have the residue after it goes through the stomach, after it's digested. That's poisonous. That's where the toxicities happen. And it was happening even in Hippocrates' day. He said death begins in the colon. So healthy food, when it's all digested, has an alkaline residue. And that's where it changes your resistance or your susceptibility to disease. Now, this is amazing. The Fraud and Deception Association, they're really dropping the ball on this one. I mean, if you knew that a company was producing something that was poisonous and addictive, and let's say that you were in charge of protecting our population, would you approve that? No, you would say, gosh, that's not doing the job. I mean, that doesn't make sense. So when you look at this, these are producing, it's not healthy products. It's good shelf life, it's good for business, it's highly addictive, but your body, remember, you build 1 billion cells a day. If you get Kmart food, you're going to get a Kmart body. Okay, and then we're going to have more disease rates. So then, and I got to tell you, when I was a kid, the ding-dongs in 1968 are totally different than the ding-dongs today. They say that, and I'm not just being facetious, they say there's 12 additional chemicals in the Twinkie today than there wasn't back in 1970. So it's totally different. And I'm not even talking the genetically modified products. It's just the sugars. Back then it was cane sugar, now it's corn sugar. So they're so poisonous that they're vitamin fortified. Now the problem with the vitamin fortified is they're using fat soluble vitamins, vitamin A and D, and they're generally mixing it with peanut oil. So so this if you also know that vaccines are generally mixed in some type of oil suspension, this way the little particulate matters can be floating around in there, so they draw it up in the syringe and inject it in you. That's generally peanut oil as well. So it hypersensitizes to the immune system. So kids eating a ding-dong, thinking that there's no nuts in there, can actually develop allergies. So does this mean that vitamin-fortified milk can also have peanuts in there? Yes or yes? Yeah, and they don't need to say that. Okay, so anytime you see vitamin fortified, figure if a food's so poisonous they got to put vitamins in it, you probably don't want it. Okay? Yeah, I am rocket scientist. Okay, so when you look at this, I mean, this guy, there's some brilliant people in our government. God bless them, but they're fighting an uphill battle. Daniel Sheehan, FDA, now head for the Center of Toxicological Research. Okay, he says that soy, because soy was originally grown as an industrial lubricant. Soy-fed babies are taking part in a large uncontrolled experiment. Okay, unmonitored infant experiment. Now, I'm okay with experiment on humans. God knows we've done that for years. But tell them, you know, this stuff is genetically modified. We don't test it on human beings. Okay, we have some animal studies. We're going to test it on your child. So here, try this. I'm okay with that, but make the parents aware of it. Of course, you know, your kid will develop asthma and hypersensitivity to the mucous membranes. The fast-growing cells are going to be mutated, and it can negatively affect his health in the long run. But tell him, you know, that would be okay. And then when you know that 90% of soy products are genetically modified, have you seen the human experiments on this? No, there isn't any. Okay, so what's neat about this is any genetically modified stuff, and this is the top big four, and this is what's in every product. It's corn, soy, canola, and cottonseed oil. The four big oils that are used in virtually every packaged product. Okay, those four are the most common genetically modified, and they have different proteins in there. All allergies are a sensitivity to protein. Remember when we're talking about diseases, how systemic inflammation causes it? This means that if proteins get into your bloodstream or get into the tissue and your body recognizes it as foreign, it causes inflammation. So when you look at the animal studies, you know, small brains, small testicles, the agency that's responsible for our health says, well, we're not really aware. The agency is unaware of information showing these foods derived from these methods differ from, in any meaningful way or uniform way, from regular food. So they haven't been proved to be dangerous. Other countries, there's 27 countries around the world that have banned our products because they haven't been proved to be safe. So maybe we got an excess of people that we don't really care if they get wiped out a bit, but we know that mice are smart enough to avoid eating them. We know that in the animal studies that it causes infertility, decreased immune system. But I like this. It causes cholesterol synthesis problems, okay, in animals. That means if that happened in a human being, we'd see cancer rates and dementia skyrocket. It causes a change in insulin regulation. If that was happening in humans, we'd see an epidemic of diabetes. So what is our population going through today? 50% diabetes if you're an ethnic origin. If you're Caucasian, you only have 30%. Okay. But when you look at the other thing, cholesterol synthesis and epidemic of Alzheimer's, epidemic of cancer. So there's something wrong with how we're treating either the health system or not. So then we can look at omegas. How's it coming, Laura?
Really good.
Yeah? Yeah. You still got like 5 minutes? You tell me.
Yeah, they all need to be stirred.
Okay, that's okay. You keep telling me. We're doing something behind the curtain. Don't pay attention to the person behind the curtain.
I don't want to be a test subject.
She is the great Oz. Don't mess with her. Okay, so when you look at this, you've heard of omega-6 to 3 ratios, okay? Now, everyone knows omega-3s, but there should be a balance. You need both. You typically need about a 1-to-1 ratio of it. The problem is, if you take a cow and raise it from a little cow to a full-grown steer so it can slaughter, and you take 5 years and you feed that cow grass and you let them run free and you don't give them antibiotics, you got a healthy animal. The meat out of that animal has about a 3-to-1 ratio, 3 omega-6 to 1 omega-3. And that's a healthy animal. That's healthy, a healthy product. Buffaloes is about the same, fish are the same. But it would be expensive. So now here's one. If you take that same little calf, you can grow it to full-grown market in 13 months. You have to feed it corn. Now the cow's system is not designed to eat corn or process corn. It's like force-feeding a child Snicker bars. So they get sick as all heck. So to keep the creature alive, we pump him full of antibiotics because since he's inundated with sugar, he's going to have multiple infections. But if we give him a lot of poisonous mold, which is antibiotics, it's going to keep the creature alive to where we can slaughter him. Now, since he's sick and he's raised with poor food and poor medicines, his meat is going to have a huge change in the omega-3 to 6 ratio. Okay, so it's going to be like poisonous. Now, a healthy diet, and this is all the food you choose, and this is how you need to start choosing food. Choosing food. Not say, oh my God, I'm craving those corn chips. Okay, actually choosing food. What is the omega-3 to 6 ratio in this? Oh, it's good. It's like 3-to-1 or 1-to-1. I should eat it. This is what my body's going to be. I mean, if you look back in the old days, my gosh, we used to pray over food. Do you know why? Because it's going to be coming us. I mean, you could say it's also thanking God for bringing it down, but this food is actually going to become you. So it's very, very important. Now, disease starts at around 8-to-1 ratio, 8 omega-6s to 1 omega-3. The American diet's about 20-to-1. Okay, so the average American is guaranteed to get an inflammatory disease. The average American is guaranteed to get an inflammatory disease. Now, we can approach this 2 different ways. One way, we can actually change the diet into a healthy system to where you reproduce yourself healthy, or as your body adapts to the poisonous environment, we can give you medications to change your physiology. I know it doesn't sound smart. Okay, if the arteries are inflamed and they're getting smaller and you develop higher blood pressure, do we change the diet, give you soluble fibers, clean the arteries, and change your diet, or do we give you a drug to slow your heart down? Okay, it's just foolishness. And then when you look at this, corn oil, 60-to-1. Just for shits and giggles. I mean, go to the supermarket, okay? Now when you look down the aisles, you know how they say you live healthier if you walk around the outside? Look at the inside. It's nothing but corn. If you look at corn flakes, obviously that's corn. If you look at oatmeal, that's corn. If you look at ketchup, what is it? Corn. High fructose corn syrup is in virtually every product. I mean, you start looking at it, you can say that, but when you look at it, it's corn syrup solids, high fructose corn syrup. And then look at the preservatives, cottonseed oil, soy oil. That's in virtually every package. The reason it's every aisle is made of corn. And you got to start looking at this. Corn, canola, soy, the 4 big genetically modified products. This is why it's so phenomenally profitable. 77-to-1. And these are the dangerous ones. Then you start looking at grapeseed oil. Grapeseed oil is a healthy oil if it's cold pressed. If it's not cold pressed, it's deadly. Because they actually use certain detergents to draw oils out of the seeds. And then in order to get rid of the detergent, they got to burn it. So when we look at this, the diseases associated with an imbalance in omega-3s. This is all it is. It means you take a human. Let's experiment on children. No. You take a human and you feed them high omega-6 diet. What do they end up with? Cardiovascular disease, cancer, inflammatory diseases. This is like lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, virtually every autoimmune disorder, fibromyalgia. I mean, it's crazy. Now, since we know our population has it, let's reverse it. Disease is absolutely reversible. Cardiovascular disease can be reversed at a 4-to-1 ratio. So let's say you have somebody with a heart disease, like my patient this morning, who eats nothing for breakfast, then he eats his omega-6 loaded burger, and then he eats, nothing for dinner, and I'm sure he's eating something for dinner. You got to know that. He just scared to tell me. So what do? I say, look, go out there. Make sure nothing you eat is over a 3-to-1 ratio or 4-to-1 ratio, and you're going to reverse the disease. So I sent him down to Mother's Market. I told him, I said, you're going to put this and this and this and this in it. Are you ready, Laura?
Yeah.
No, you got one more slide. You're doing way good.
Oh,
Okay. Let's say they have colorectal cancer. Now, knowing that the lining of the colon is replaced every 24 hours, knowing that the colon is one of the fastest reproducing organs you got. Okay, you have colorectal cancer? Beautiful, let's reverse it. You've got to get a very low, like 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 ratio of omega-3s, and this will start to reverse the disease. Rheumatoid arthritis and asthma, 5-to-1. You start looking at this and you go, wait a second. So your body is always rebuilding. And then when you look at it, if you cut yourself, can you ever stop the healing? No, the cells reproduce. Why? Because you're causing inflammation. These are inflammatory diseases. Your body's doing the best it can to survive. It's the best it can to rebuild itself. And you're not giving it the stuff. That's criminal. Then we got this. Almost, Laura. Okay, we got super omega-3 rich foods. Okay, and so this is ideal. Hemp seeds. I was so prejudiced of this one. Okay. Pumpkin seeds, chia, just normal healthy stuff. Even animal products, as long as they're grass-fed. But that shouldn't be like a staple. Chia seeds. Chia seeds. Okay, that's the clue. Okay, well, what we're doing, okay, and we had this is so good. Okay, we had this at one of the food seminars. This is organic chia seeds mixed with a little bit of organic almond milk. Now, the spoon is also, petroleum-free and biodegradable, made out of genetically, no BPA, it's non-genetically modified plant plastic. I know. You got to be like really, oh, perfect. Okay, so now, what Lori did is she put just 2 tablespoons in there of the chia seeds. They expand 9 to 10 times. Okay, so we let it sit and stir it up a little bit, but this is actually just 2 teaspoons of chia seeds.
And got it with almond milk.
With almond milk. Oh my God, that's good.
Organic almond milk.
Yeah, so this is actually a day's. So if you don't like it, oh my gosh.
This is a day's portion?
Yeah, a day's portion. Although
Of omega.
I put that much of omega-3, although I put that in my morning drink, in my dinner drink, or in my lunch drink, and I just had some now, so.
Overdose?
Yeah. Well, you got to figure. I'm up here, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I go till about 8:30 at night. So the Aztecs used to use it for hunting. Because what's neat is it absorbs the fluid in this, it absorbs the fluid in your body. So it slowly leaches out the electrolytes and fluid, so you have incredible endurance. But also, I like the idea of reversing any kind of disease. And I figure if it's got a 1-to-1 ratio, I'm going to be reversing any damage that I get from Fukushima. And we're going to go over this in the first weekend in June on one of the detoxing. This right here is the daily food that you are going to take in order to protect yourself from cell damage. And you're going to find out radiation is only cells breaking down. If your cells build up as fast as they break down, you're going to survive and thrive. But when you look at this, what it does, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, and don't think, well, you have high blood pressure, take the chia seeds. Think you got high blood pressure, you have systemic inflammation, you've got closing off the arteries, you got some type of tissue damage. You need to rebuild your body healthy. You need something with a healthy omega-3 to 6 ratio. And if you could do that in one breath, that would be a good idea. But you do it with the same thing. Acid reflux, cardiac health, colon health. No, you don't have a colon problem. You get a problem with the arteries and the tissue in there. You have toxicity or deficiency. You've been exposed yourself to too many omega-6s to omega-3s. We need to change your omega-3 to 6 ratio. Then your body is going to, since it's going to reproduce itself anyway, it's going to reproduce itself healthy. God, that makes sense. This was my prejudice. Okay, when I saw hemp seeds at the health food store, when I saw hemp seeds, I'm thinking whacked out hippie, they're just trying to put drugs in our system. I am prejudiced, okay, against this. Then I start looking into it, and I think, wait a second, oh my gosh, there's no THC in it, so you're not going to get stoned from eating hemp seeds. But why? Why is it there? Look at this. It's the highest essential fatty acid of any food available. The highest, the number one. And then you start looking at it, heart disease. Hemp seed oil matches your skin almost exactly, the fats in the skin. So for acne, psoriasis, and how easy is this? I mean, from a doctor's perspective, I get people with psoriasis. That means they've had horrible blood supply for years. They've got kidney issues because that's where the skin gets reproduced. And you know, what am I going to do? Recommend a steroid cream? Like some malpractice doctor? I think that's what MD stands for. Okay, you're not going to do that. That's foolish. Any type of skin disorder is not a skin disorder. It's a problem of deficiency or toxicity. Your body's trying to eliminate that. And for pregnant moms, I can't recommend fish because fish are mercury toxic, particularly if you're developing a fetus, because kids, particularly when they're inside, they're very neurologically sensitive. So you can't have neurotoxins. That's why any doctor that shoots a pregnant woman with a flu shot needs to be shot himself. 9mm, 22, that would be all appropriate. Well, you know, close range. Okay, so your whole body is build up or break down. And if your body builds up faster than it breaks down, you're going to survive. Okay, and you're going to thrive. If it breaks down faster than your build up, you're going to have a dis-ease. So all dis-eases are your body breaking down faster and it's building up. Now this is the beauty of this. The way your system works is when you smell food, it stimulates secretions in the stomach. So this means you smell chicken, a certain type of food. Smell beef, different type of acid. You smell broccoli, different type of acid. So this is where digestion begins. So if you have healthy nose function, healthy brain function, you're going to have a healthy acid production. Now the problem is, and you know, like last week, had a patient come in, she would eat, she was super bloated afterwards, and the doctor prescribed her an antacid. Dumb or dumb? Why? Because you're thinking the stomach actually breaks down the food and she's not breaking it down, so he's reducing the acid? Yeah, you know, common sense isn't there. But then when it leaves the stomach, it's super acidic, and right next to the stomach, calcium and iron are absorbed. Then a little bit further, you get the C vitamins. Then way down at the bottom, you get the B vitamins. So as this intestinal tract gets less and less acidic, different things are absorbed. Then when it hits the colon, and that's where 90% of the body's water absorption occurs. And then there's healthy bacteria in the whole system. There's healthy bacteria inside of the stomach in that acid. There's healthy bacteria all the way through here. This is the scary thing. Genetically modified foods, they change the DNA of the healthy bacteria that you have in your gut. Do you know what genetically modifying the DNA to the bacteria in your gut or intestinal tract do? I don't know. We've never done an experiment. So have your neighbors, if you don't like them, go out and purchase fast food. Okay? We'll follow them for a few years. We don't know. There's no human studies on it. We know the animal studies have infertility and colon cancer and diabetes. I don't know. This is healthy stuff, but make sure it's not genetically modified. They do have now genetically modified tomatoes. But the phytonutrients, and this is what plants have developed over eons of time. They can fight viruses, funguses, and bacteria. We don't know how they do it. We do know that when we eat this tomato, that your risk of cancer falls. We do know that if you eat blueberries, your cholesterol drops, the tissue repair increases. We don't know how it does it because we're not putting money towards the research. Hell, there's 10,000 bioactive enzymes in a tomato. We've identified 5,000. We don't know how they interact. There's magic in this stuff. Now, anything you put in your mouth is going to go through the veins. You see, in the way the intestinal tract works, there's veins around it. Food has to pierce the wall of that intestinal tract. But also, anything that makes too large of a hole in that intestinal tract allows larger proteins to get in. So neurotoxins, this means flu shots, vaccinations, MSG, the V8 that has MSG in it. I mean, all the neurotoxins actually blow holes in the intestinal tract, causing a thing called leaky gut. Now, leaky gut allows large proteins to get into the bloodstream. Large proteins get into the bloodstream, they attach to the brain, opiate receptors in the brain. So if they attach to the opiate receptors in the brain literally gets starved of food. So the brain starts to atrophy. Dementia, this is Alzheimer's, this is attention deficit disorder. This is why 100% of the kids that have autism or attention deficit disorder, you put them on a gluten-free, dairy-free diet, they do better. They do better if we didn't poison them in the first place, but, you know, what the heck. I guess rats are expensive. Personally, I'd rather experiment on animals. But this is beautiful. I mean, when you look at this system, it's just one system is dependent on another system, it's dependent on another system. The reason our healthcare system is backwards now is because they don't know. I've got an orthopedic surgeon as a patient. I was describing neurology to him and he didn't know. I was describing nutrition, how he needs to get certain nutrients in his joint and stimulate proprioceptive firing so that his system can regenerate tissue faster. And he didn't know. And I'm going, wait a second, okay. So we have to change how your brain views your body. Oh, okay. You know, he didn't know this stuff. And that's why you're going to have a gastroenterologist, you're going to have a endocrinologist, you're going to have a hematologist, you're going to have all these different specialists in this area, and none of them know what the other guy's doing. And it doesn't work that way. See, this spleen here, that little tiny beautiful organ, it checks every red blood cell you got every 20 minutes. And the ones that aren't exactly perfect, because red blood cells only last about 120 days, it passes them over to the liver. Now the liver takes these red blood cells, breaks them down into bile and different protein constituents, so your body can break down fats. Without fats, your brain doesn't work, your immune system is screwed, I mean, nothing works, okay? So then, the liver stores and concentrates all of these bile acids inside of the gallbladder. So as soon, and you've got sensors right inside of the duodenum, this area in the intestinal tract here, as soon as fat hits that gallbladder screeches out. And then that fat gets in there and starts to break down and emulsify it. Then the pancreas actually drains through the same holes that the gallbladder does. So the pancreas senses that, further secretes different enzymes so your body can break down proteins, and also it's so bicarbonate so that it changes the acid. It raises the acid to a little bit more base, so then the nutrients can break down. All of this is happening. It's such a beautiful harmony. I want you to own it, because this is how disease is reversed. You're not going to get this information from the doctor because he doesn't know. They don't take a lot of anatomy or physiology. They forget it. I don't care what profession you're in. You had to take some classes in school that you just muscled your way through, and you don't remember the classes. I know. That's what the doctors are doing. They just passed the test. They might know a lot about, hepatic function, liver function. They forgot what the spleen does. They never learned about nutrition. I mean, Charlotte Gerson, she's been curing cancer for about 80 years with her and her dad. I met her son this weekend, brilliant guy. You cannot have cancer in your body if you have a fully functioning pancreas. The pancreas gets depleted. It gets drained of its enzymes if you have overcooked meats. Why? Because it has two functions. It can regulate blood sugar and it can break down proteins. If you're breaking down proteins through your digestive juices, those enzymes are not available to break down abnormal protein formation in your body. Okay? Absolutely, absolutely essential. I mean, enzymes. This is ideal. This is everything. We do an enzyme survey here. There's 3 different types. Food, it's inside food, metabolic and digestive enzymes. There's thousands and thousands of enzymes, and this is what your body is deficient in. When you look at it, the T lymphocytes that your body has, they actually use enzymes to destroy cancer. That's why if you're having enzyme-devoid foods, if food's heated over 120 degrees, it's killed of enzymes. If it's not living food, it's killed of enzymes. If it's preserved, it's killed of enzymes. Without enzymes, you die. You die a slow, horrible death. It's called disease. What I like is in pineapples, brolamine. This is an actual enzyme inside of the pineapple itself. So does this mean that plants contain living enzymes? Yeah. It's really cool. So this is what you actually require for detoxing. When we talk about radiation poisoning, we're going to go over this in great detail. But obviously no genetically modified, nothing non-genetically, or nothing not organic. Wait, nothing not organic. Is that a double negative or a triple negative? Okay, I'm getting much gooder at English. Okay, so when you look at this, okay, that's going to have a few comments on YouTube. So when you look at this, no commercial dairy, because it's poisonous dairy. Raw dairy is okay. There's only one politician that understands that. Ron Paul actually thinks raw milk is not a political issue, that we should be able to have it. Okay, lots of fresh organic vegetable juice, vital. Lots of D3, lots of omega-3s. You got your omega-3s today, I'm sure of it. Okay, get the nervous system checked, it's essential. This is phenomenal. Chlorella, spirulina, and clay. We're going to start to eat dirt. Okay, the reason is clay is like a magnet to poisons, because unless you've been aware of the omega-3 to 6 ratio, your body is toxic. Clay is an actual sponge to toxins. Now, when we talk about this, okay, I gave samples of chia seeds. I'm going to give samples, and I'm not kidding you. It looks like frosting, and it tastes pretty darn good. Everyone's going to have a little bit of clay. You're gonna like it because it's like a sponge. It draws the toxins out of you. The problem is you don't want to take the clay with supplements, because it also draws those, and it's like a magnet to it. But you're going to learn that chlorella and spirulina, you have to take those every day from now on. With the radiation exposure that we're getting, with the toxic exposure that we're getting from the food system, in my era there was smog out there, but now it's, glowing in the dark smog. So, these are just things that you can take to absolutely, survive and thrive. When we talk about the more radiation, we're going to talk about the zeolite. And I guess there was a couple of companies that bought out most of the zeolite to give to, our boys that are protecting us. So it was like, thank goodness, somebody's up on this. You can't ask your doctor for this information. Okay, they really can't, because they most of them suck. I mean, we had a brilliant doctor, Dr. Joel Furman, medical doctor, brilliant guy. He's reversing disease. Is reversing heart disease. There's a lot of brilliant doctors out there that they're breaking from the pack. They're studying. They're finding out why disease is there. They're finding out the why behind it, and they're reversing it. I mean, this is the cure to cancer. This is the cure to how to reverse disease, as long as you don't poison yourself. It's literally this simple. And it's not just vegetables. If you're going to use meat, use it as a condiment. Just keep it on the side. It's fine. Just can't be a main thing. Carol, is that a messed up spine or a messed up spine? 77 years old. She was on blood pressure medications, I think for about 25, 30 years. But what was her diet like? Obviously, if your spine's like that, your heart has to work harder. So we got her on the same thing. We got her nervous system working. Within 45 days, she was drug-free. Fibromyalgia, 9 different prescriptions, okay, gone within 30 days. That's an incurable disease. But fibromyalgia is a systemic problem. It's the entire body is inflamed and breaking down. So we fixed it. This gal here, reverse curve in the neck, headaches daily. But then when you start looking at this, obviously we can fix the spine, but what was she taking for the headache? She was taking a pain reliever. Ibuprofen, naproxen, all of these, the non-steroidals clump blood vessels together. It damages her kidneys. You clump blood vessels together and damage the kidneys, you're going to negatively affect the gut. 90% of the body's serotonin is produced in the gut. So she's going to develop depression, anxiety, all from the headaches and the chronic pain. It's absolute malpractice to treat a human being with a drug, okay, without looking for the underlying cause. It's time we take over. It really is. The revolution is now. I mean, when you actually read the Bill of Rights, it's brilliant. It's an actual break from this authoritarian government that didn't understand us. And they say the government gets the power from the people. It's time to take it back, because I like our people. I mean, there's no other country more cool than this, and we got to get it back. We absolutely have to. Dave, high blood pressure. I mean, you can imagine how many medications and cholesterol drugs and everything else. And he was a young guy, 53. God, there's a kid. I'm almost 53. He's a child. Oh my God. He should be healthy. This is what your body requires to reverse disease and to stay healthy. You've got to get your nervous system checked. Absolutely. And that's because the nervous system controls digestion. It controls everything. You've got to get regular exercise. That's to detox your system, because it's the way that your body moves. Proper nutrition. This means exactly what we're talking about. If man makes it, don't eat it. Okay? If somebody says it's safe, no, unless it grows, it's organic. Ever hear of homicide? That's killing a human being. Have you heard of that? Pesticide, it's killing pests. Okay, what do you think that little bit of poison does to you over a period of time? Pesticides?
Homicide?
Yes, there you go. Oh my God, you'll connect the dots. Yes, it's true. You can't take a little bit of poison all day long, okay, and expect it not to affect you over a year and year. So proper nutrition, by God, if I one more person say, well, I try and buy organic. No! You get organic or you don't eat. Okay? Sufficient rest. Absolutely, you need it. You require it. And prayer and meditation. Fantastic. That's vital. Now, in the summertime, there's thousands of people coming through here. Okay? So get them checked. I don't care if they're from Guam or Dubai or anybody. Bring them by. We'll give them x-rays. We just got to get them checked. Then we can start them on the right path. I mean, we've done this for people in, every country that I can think of. France, England, Switzerland, Australia, Japan. They come through here. They get the information. X-rays, exam, report, everything. That's why we lower the price in the summertime. We got to. Now, all of these are recorded. They're all on YouTube. Anybody, I got to honor you guys, because you could get all this information from the television. You're putting the effort to make a difference in your life. And each person, they say, knows 48 other people. So think of this. We've got busloads in this room that's going to actually make a difference. Okay? So thank you very much.